Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording live stream of Hearthstone. Today is oddly Thursday, March 29th. We're making good for Wednesday, yesterday, that did not go well. Pretty bad bout of insomnia caused me to fall asleep and then only sleep for like less than 4 hours, then wake up, and I thought I was good enough that I could power through streaming, and I felt great until about 5 minutes into the stream yesterday, and then all of a sudden I could not even keep my eyes open. Like, I would take a breath to say something, and in taking that breath my eyes was closed and I would start to fall asleep. And I was just crashing as hard as you could possibly crash, and hopefully that doesn't happen today. I don't think it will. So we're playing Thursday to try to do some make goods. We're on the Asian account, and it doesn't seem...
memory from the year of the mammoth?
It doesn't seem like you can trade as often as you used to be able to, but I guess we can. So we got Warrior and Battlecry cards, and we need to do... How much do I really need to do? That is an interesting question, because I intend to stream tomorrow, but in all likelihood, if I did both of these things today and just got one quest on the Asian account tomorrow, that doesn't really change, and I don't see any reason why I'd want to stream on Saturday. Today is an opportunity to stream on Thursdays, which I usually don't stream, because it allows for me to potentially collect some new viewers. We also need to do this tavern brawl, so let's try that. We're gonna get a basic card pack. Let's see, Miniature Warfare Standard. The Shrink Master has turned all your Hearthstone cards into toys. Now all your minions are 1/1 and cost only 1 mana. And see, this was like a crazy deck. That we've done this before. So I think because we have Battlecry decks, the Battlecry decks are going to be difficult if we try to build it on the Warrior. No, not really. Let's see, deal 1 damage while killing enemies. For each enemy minion gain 2 armor. Deal 1 damage to all minions. Yeah, this taunt, adapt. Deal 1 damage to everybody. A 2/2 weapon isn't a terrible battle cry. See what else can we get for Battlecry. Give a friendly minion +2 attack, deal 1 damage. Let's see, summon some things, restore some health. Summon use with taunt, maybe destroy a weapon, deal 1 more damage. Charge creatures wouldn't be terrible either. Taunt, not really necessary. Silence a minion, always good. Take control of people if there's a lot of them. +1/+1 and taunt. Of course, the crazy thing here is I'm probably going to play against a bunch of people with insane legendary cards that are 1/1 versions of that. There we go. So let's give this a try. So if I ever needed a confirmation that YouTube puts videos that are streaming up in front of more people's eyes for the longer you go, which is confirmation that I should do the silent post show if I'm ever going to do it. And I should have actually jumped it back on about 8 to 10 hours later yesterday when I woke up again and played just a little bit of Hearthstone to get one daily quest done. At that point I should have hopped back on. I only got 4 views for that 30-minute stream yesterday. Fair enough, it's by far the worst footage I've ever made, and it would be pretty bad if it was somebody's first interaction with me ever, for them to have seen me just kind of fall asleep on the stream.
My shield for Argon.
But it does certainly show that 30-minute stream is not promoted. YouTube does something clearly where they wait a little bit before they start suggesting people, or maybe they're not suggesting people at all, but it's just this is the number of people that actually
back to work.
this might just be the number of people actually looking at a random stream at any one point, looking for a random English Hearthstone stream. So we've got a ton of games. A lot of them are not worth talking about, but I've got to clean out my tabs on Chrome because this is just not going to work
My shield for Argon.
any other way.
Engaging TC-130 into this location.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
So there's a game called Umiro, U-M-I-R-O. Let's see, 2 reviews, came out March 26th. It's from Viral Studios, but oddly, it's selling for $3 and it's being published by Devolver Digital, which Devolver Digital, as a publisher for indie games, actually is doing a job. Like, you can clearly see that Devolver Digital has the contacts, has the money to get somebody to look at some of these indie video games that Devolver Digital usually sells. So this game does look polished. It looks like something that is a real game. The main issue I would say is it looks kind of like a sort of boring puzzle game based on your actions. There's these like black balls chasing a character, it looks like, and you have to avoid them. It looks like there's just a multitude of different stages.
Reporting for duty.
Maybe co-op playable, also single player only. It's weird that there's no sale. Interesting. Under the awards section for this game, it says it's a nominee from Dinky Online and the Tokyo Game Show of 2016, and then some of the other awards just say nominee Casual Connect Asia, nominee Casual Connect Asia, so it's like kind of odd. And so there's one Japanese review or Chinese review that gives it positive, and then there's one Russian looking review that gives it negative, leaving it at 50%. It must be pretty bad though, because even Devolver Digital really hasn't been pushing this, and I haven't seen anybody else talk about it, so that will probably prove itself to mean that this is not a top one for you to consider. let's see. Is a terrible asset flip game called The Last Tower on Steam. It has one user review, came out March 28th. Salsa We is the developer. There's been... Oh man.
Shiny.
How did they get that?
No problem.
I'm certainly lost here. I should just concede right now. But I do need to put battle cry cards, so I might as well just continue. Last Tower 30% off for 69 cents. It's not. It doesn't look like it's worth even that much. It seems like it's only selling itself on achievements nowadays, like so many other games. The entire game looks like you're this turret stuck in the center of the screen, and you have 4 cardinal direction that you can shoot at enemies, and that's it. Like the most basic of year 1 video game programming I've ever seen. Like this definitely looks like projects I've seen in video game programming classes, where they would hand you some basic assets and tell you make a video game with these pictures and these assets, and you would just have to do the coding part and not the animation part, which is fair enough, because like a video game programmer has to work with artists and other people. You're just not gonna make a good product trying to do everything by yourself.
Of course.
Job's done.
Next game I have is called Metropolis. Came out the 28th by a company called Studio by the Bay. The only game they have out. It's 10% off for an incredibly insane amount of $22.50, roughly speaking. Sometimes I say these prices and then I round them up. So I'm not being factually accurate. Metropolis looks like a very similar game to like SimCity 1. Top-down perspective, graphics don't look anything special. Yeah. I don't know why you'd want to play this no-name game from a no-name company when you could go and play SimCity, or you could play...
Reporting for duty.
Well, you could go play several other sim games, like City Skylines. City Skylines is at full price, $30, and will do you better. Let's see. Prison Architect is also a similar game that is a Tropico Reloaded. Like, why would you buy this game from a no-name company?
What now?
When there's better things. Like, inherently this is this is the problem with any game that's just a clone of the same game. Like, there's 2 reviews here, both of which were not rated not helpful, and they're both not recommended. One has 14 and 0.8 hours, one has 0.2 hours on record. Yep. So apparently it was in early access. So how many battle cry cards did that give me? About half as many as I needed. Rocket League, according to PC Gamer, is getting chat bans in next month's tournament updates. Chat bans will give players a chance to shape up before they're shipped out. The studio said the system is the first step in addressing abusive language and toxic behavior in the game. Chat bans will be handed out for the same behavior that currently leads to game bans, but As the name suggests, will simply remove the ability for players to chat while they're in the game. When a player is reported for abusive chat, racial, gender, homophobic slurs, as well as more generally inappropriate language, the system will scan the match's entire chat log. If the player in question was found to be abusive, a chat ban ranging anywhere from 24 hours to a month will be imposed. Let's see. Let's see. Players hit with the chat ban will be given in-game notifications of their duration and of what exactly triggered the ban, so you'll know what kind of language to avoid in the future. Players who file reports will be notified if the action was taken as a result, although specifics about the offending player will not be revealed. Bans won't completely silence players who received in quick chat will continue to work, but only once every 5 seconds, and chat in private matches or party chats in online matches will work as normal. If bad behavior persists after a month-long chat ban, then the full-on game bans will be brought into play. I will be your death! Wanna blow something up? So I said in yesterday's stream that today was going to be a day where I was going to try and avoid rants, and I'm going to try and continue that to today's. I could certainly make the slippery slope argument here, but it seems like they've really bent over backwards in explaining this, at least, to not be too draconian or word policey. It seems like they really are just trying to curb people who are specifically and intentionally trying to offend, while not ending up with a lot of people very upset when they do get banned. And if anything, you can certainly make the argument that right now they're banning people from playing the game completely. I believe there was something else about Rocket League that I heard about, but I can't remember what it was. Something about the company or what they did, or the fact that they're just doing loot boxes, and yeah, I think it was something along the lines of they still have loot boxes in their game, and they're making a lot of money doing that, and they don't get enough guff for that. I'd still, until I hear what something was, I mean, I'd still want to play Rocket League. It is still a multiplayer game, much like Overwatch, so like, I would only probably play it once or twice for less than an hour, which is one of the reasons why I haven't ever really pursued it.
I don't have enough money.
But yeah, there is definitely the slippery slope argument of them trying to infiltrate video game people with a political agenda in the video game industry, trying to infiltrate the video game culture and community to an extreme, and word policing things. The problem, the only reason why this is even slightly concerning that Rocket League or any game would have chat bans is because we've seen it applied in very draconian ways, very insane ways. And we've seen it applied by people who, quite frankly, don't like video games, don't like gamers, and they're somehow, for some insane reason, working in the industry that they shouldn't be working in. And they're trying to change video game culture, video games, into something that would make them not appealing to gamers. Which is crazy. But like I said, trying to avoid that. Like, I really don't want to turn my channel. even though YouTube is trying to turn me
There
generally
once was
into
a
a
man
person
from Gildan.
who is this hyper anti-SJW person, I really don't want to do that. I just don't want to be a legitimate video game critic who just criticizes games and the art. And the politics that keep getting inserted into something as stupid as video games that then are getting enough coverage and enough play that I need to feel the need to respond to it is way too high. Moving on, Game of Sutra has an article how a focus on realism hamstrung Until Dawn devs VR shooter. The quote here is, "We intended and expected to mimic the established conventions of first-person shooters and were relevant VR titles. But the studio blocked any design that wasn't realistic or movie realistic." Interesting. So, excuse me. So they're talking about the first-person shooter Bravo team, and the developer was Supermassive, but apparently nobody liked Bravo team. I don't even remember it. And see, this is a weird article for somebody to say right about now, is that a publisher or the dev, I'm having a hard time figuring out who is the person that kept saying that they want a super realistic VR shooter. The studio, I guess, is what it says. So maybe it was a license to movie or something. The last thing we really should do right now with VR is make a photo-realistic, hyper-realistic, movie-realistic first-person shooter game in VR. Because we've already got the cartoony games that are pretty realistic, that are violent on the TV. Adding VR is going to just give more fuel to the fire to people who make the ridiculous claims that these games are training people to be like mass spree killers. So yeah, it's an interesting. It's bad timing on their part, but I mean, honestly, now, or a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 3 years from now, there should be no photorealistic first-person shooters in VR. I don't think VR is going to succeed past that point, but people would need to get used to VR first and just realize, oh, it's just like TV. And if there was, after 3 or 4 years of being comfortable with watching violent movies and TV, passive entertainment on VR, that's when you say, okay, now we're going to give that extra bit of control to the player and turn this violent movie and this violent TV series into violent interactive media. Because then you have that buffer where people can't say, well, the video games are too much, but the TV is okay because we like the TV. That's just how things have been going for a long time.
Garrosh versus Malfurion.
Oddly, people don't make that argument that much.
Victory or death!
But, I mean, when you look at the things that happen on Game of Thrones, and you compare that to half of the video games, Game of Thrones is clearly way worse. And that's why people who watch Game of Thrones aren't ever going to get on a soapbox and try and say video games are too violent, but our hyper-violent Game of Thrones show is just fine. There's a game, according to PC Gamer, called The Sinking City, which is like L.A. Noire written by H.P. Lovecraft, interrogating fish people and chasing ladies in the soaked streets of Oakmount.
This will be grisly.
I'm looking at the screenshots, and it does kind of have a Dishonored type vibe. Dishonored in particular was a game that was built around the city. What in the world? This guy has got to go. Job done. Let's see. Let's see. It doesn't have a release date yet, The Sinking City, which, I mean, if a game can't even tell you the year it's coming out, people should stop reporting on them. They honestly should. There was a trailer that, oddly, I saw on YouTube and nowhere else. It's called Too Close to the Sun, and it's selling itself as a spiritual successor, spiritual brother to, I believe is the phrase that, yeah, they're calling it, like the spiritual brother to BioShock, which is very interesting claim. It makes an interesting point in the first place that why did nobody ever try to hate BioShock too much? I imagine there was just a little too much reverence to BioShock 1 for anybody to say, hey, let's make something that is very similar to that. Arguably Dishonored and Prey are kind of heaping them, but not in some of the things. There could also be an argument, and this is a very phallus argument, probably not legitimate at all, but Ken Levine was reading a lot of like Ayn Rand and political and socio-economic books, and that's where he got the idea for BioShock. Andrew Ryan being a direct, like, male version of Ayn Rand. Which, wow, yeah, how far the video game industry has gone. Like, the video game industry used to be full of these very fervent libertarian people, and basically BioShock 1 at least is this, the idea of a libertarian paradise gone wrong, and now that's not even an issue. Like, I don't think it's even discussed or brought up in the video game industry. People seem to have gone via fad from being libertarian to just being insane SJWs, which are pretty opposite directions. Too Close to the Sun, though, go check out that trailer. At least they say that their game is coming out in 2018. And it's very strange that nobody has talked about that game. Like, more and more as I move forward and get away from mainstream journalism, which is dying for video games, and just start finding games as they're getting put on Steam or through other services, more and more I am just thinking to myself that there's a lot more games coming out than what people think. So we can open this pack, but we have to wait until this point. Nothing really super card there. That was a pretty bad pack. But oddly, that probably was for one of the expansions where I don't have that much. So there's like 2 duplicates I can get rid of. And then if I just type in new, we can see what we got new. And is it all cards new? I guess it didn't really matter. Yep. And these were kobolds and catacombs cards. Little events like this might be the only way that that newer people get any packs. So I still need to get the Tavern Brawl done, but and get these packs done, so I'm gonna take this, do this. Excuse me. Got a little tickle in the back of my throat. Let's see what we can do. Just taking all of these cards. There you go. Let's try that. The game Steep, which is the snowboarding game, is getting challenge event seasons with unique rewards starting next month from Eurogamer with their new terrible website. Nothing more really needs to be reported on that. Steep probably is the closest thing to a skateboarding game right now. I haven't seen any reviews to know if it's actually good, but if you were going to try to play something that was like a skateboarding game and you weren't going to play some of the older, like, beloved things, then Steep probably is a good choice. PC Gamer has an article. NVIDIA CEO says we're not anywhere close to meeting demand for GPUs. I've said it before, I think they need to make a new generation, the next generation of GPUs, have some anti-crypto mining technology into it. So it just is not worth like doing cryptocurrency on them for the value.
Swiftly!
That way they can build as much as they can build and it not get purchased up by a bunch of speculators. It really is a great example of why cause and demand, like
Try this.
demand and supply is not the same. It's just not realistic in many instances, because there's a very high demand at a relatively very high price for NVIDIA GPUs, but the supply is still too short because there are limited, scarce resources in the world that are needed to make the GPUs. Things like actual copper and gold and circuitry and silicon, and the ability in factories to process and develop all of those elements into a final product, and people to actually work to assemble and design the products. So for at least GPUs, we're not into that post-scarcity world that we wish we were in yet. Although for a lot of things, we kinda are. Assuming we can just keep the population from exploding.
Serve the Lich King.
Take my shield for the realm!
PC Gamer is also hiring a lead hardware developer. I believe. Where are they? It's based out of New York. So, like Jeff Gersman. No, not Jeff Gersman, but CNET's Jeff. Could certainly take a job like that. And I suppose many other people could too. I don't know how much hardware reviews you really need to do. If there was ever a company that should do something like that, it would be something with PC Gaming in the name. But PC Gamer has always been kind of a bad name for what they actually are anyways, because they're so pro video games that they'll say anything and everything to support the industry. Rock Paper Shotgun, on the other hand, I believe is just owned by the same company as PC Gamer. If not, maybe it's owned by Eurogamer's company. They have a story, Tales of the Neon Sea promises point and clicking policing. Let's look at the trailer. It seems like it's something. It doesn't have a date yet. Again, just talking about games that don't have release dates. What's the point? What's the point? Now the problem with Tales of the Neon Sea, as I'm saying it, is you're too zoomed out. Point-and-click adventure games stop working at a certain scale. Because there's too much on screen and too many different things you could potentially click on. Point-and-click adventure games, by their design, are these elements that are very limited scenes, very limited lines of dialogue and conversations that you can have. I'm not seeing any like item bars or anything, or an inventory, so it seems like it's all gonna be just around the pointing and clicking, which would be a little bit boring too. Maybe that's just because of the way the trailer was cut. Moving on, Dragon Quest XI has been confirmed for PC. Let's see, it's coming out in North America and Europe on September 4th, 2018. It will be available via Steam with dash functionality, new difficulty and settings, new difficulty settings, and a camera mode is what it's supposed to say, but it just says a camera mode with no comma or anything in between words. Dragon Quest XI. As I'm looking at the journey, the trailer. The trailer is called the trailer. That's why I misspoke there. It seems like it would be a really great place to enter if you're going to play a JRPG, particularly if you're younger. It seems that way just by the animation style. I could be wrong. It could be that the story is completely inappropriate for younger people. But when you compare Dragon Quest XI to the footage I've seen of Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy has gone in this techno-futuristic sort of magic style, where this looks like a more classic fantasy style. It's called Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age. Yeah, thinking about it, maybe whenever I do have time, maybe I should play Dragon Quest instead of Final Fantasy. Maybe that should be my series. There's clearly less of them out there, if there were 15 or roughly 15 Final Fantasy games, and there's roughly 11 Dragon Quest games. Let's see. There's a game that is 40% off right now for $1.19 called Selenophobia, Selenophobia. It is positive with 91% of the 36 reviews giving a positive review. It came out March 28th, and it looks like a visual novel RPG. Tags are sexual content and nudity. The trailer's all in Japanese. I could see why this would be getting rated positive.
Working me to the bone.
Let's see. So yeah, this looks like it's mostly a visual novel RPG game. The animation style doesn't look that great. It's actually in a kind of weird style. It's not as bad as what I would call your average bad animation, but it's not as good as what I would say a bad good animation would be. It's this middle, mediocre at best animation. Let's see. It has English and traditional Chinese with subtitles, no voice acting, so I wouldn't want to play that. Let's see.
I heard
This. Or just do this.
Job's done.
Here we have a not recommended review down at the bottom for this game. During my play of this game, I already noticed that the company doesn't care about the overseas customers. They keep pushing broken, questionable English into the game, and even the store page is completely broken, incomprehensible words like PRRTECTOR, broken sequences, overly long application text, incomprehensible story as a result. Not several minutes in and I'm already having problems describing the game. The gameplay itself is an RPG Maker standard, nothing particularly special. So why is this reviewed so well? Let's look at this developer. This is like the only game made by this developer. And the published is Sakura Games, which has a whole collection of what you would call sex or visual novel things. So, in a weird case, this is like one of those games that like I imagine is only getting rated highly because it's an H game. It's got sex scenes in it if you run the patch in it. Or maybe they're doing some kind of scan.
Job done.
I want to look at all the recommended videos. Only 2 are in English at all. And then the positive, like, here's a positive review that is just a picture of a tank to begin with. And then there's just a bunch of Chinese reviews. Chinese reviews. Chinese reviews, I assume.
Scuttle the ship! Scuttle the ship! Scuttle the ship!
My mother does love this face.
Very, very short Chinese reviews for a lot of these. So this looks like a scam. It seems like they've gotten some fake reviews. And I guess that is the best way to do fake reviews, if you're going to do fake reviews, is have it in a different language so that people cannot at all disagree with it and recognize it as a fake review. Yeah. The other thing is, like, how can you really recommend any of these visual novel RPG games, whether they're romance related at all or not, when you would have to really only play that genre and that genre alone? Like,
I'm out of cards.
I think anybody else would have their fill by the time they played Kingdom Hearts, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Phantasy Star Online, like all those series. All of those fantasy series that are good on their own merits really hurt it. And if you really do love RPG games and just not JRPG games, then there's also the American RPG games like Skyrim and Fallout that are so good it's hard to justify playing some no-name visual novel based one. Although I guess there are people out there that really just love the visual novel aspect, even when they're not romance based. I'm not sure how big that audience really is. So we really don't need to get this today, but we do need to get to Tavern Brawl. So I'm in the next recording going to continue with that. But we've been going 45 minutes. Nobody's come on in the chat. That's alright, I suppose. Hopefully more than 4 people will actually watch this video today. It wouldn't be crazy if this one didn't get seen just because it's on the wrong day. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're doing an experiment here. That's it for this recording. Stay tuned if you're watching live. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, gift me a game on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.